A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are in good. Today is 25th January 2020. Day is Saturday. The first editorial that we are going to discuss is Justice for Rohingya. With the help of this editorial, I am also going to explain you some important facts about International Court of Justice. But before that, dear friends, at present, 70% discount is available on our pen drive and Android courses. The last date is 27th. Make the most out of it, right? And all information about our pen drive and tablet courses, about discounts and everything is available on our portal, that is StudyIQ.com. To download the PDF of today's lecture, these are the two sources. So make sure you share this lecture, hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So first of all, let's talk about International Court of Justice. On your screen you can see a logo of International Court of Justice. It was established back in 1945. Established in 1945. International Court of Justice is also known as, do you know the name? It is called World Court as well. It is also known as World Court. And the reason why it is known as World Court is because it is United Nations principal judicial organ. These are some factual things that I'm sharing with you guys, some basic facts, because this court is in news because of this Rohingya crisis or Rohingya case. And there are chances that in next prelim you may find at least one question on ICJ, Now, this ICJ or this World Court, it settles disputes between states. So if, let's say, India and Pakistan, they are having a sort of issue going on, and I'm talking about Mr. Kulbhushan Jadhav, that this case is going on in this International Court of Justice. So this sort of cases, like when you have two countries, if they are against each other for a particular dispute, or if you have one country and that is against, a case is going on between one country and different countries, then as well it can be settled here at ICJ. Then it also gives advisory opinion on international legal issues referred to it by the United Nations. Now, let's talk about this case, this Rohingya case. The latest ruling, unanimous ruling of ICJ is in favor of a Rohingya Muslim, and it is against this government of Myanmar. So this unanimous ruling has said that the government of Myanmar should make sure that Rohingyas are protected from this genocide, and it has also said that military has executed or conducted genocide against Rohingya Muslims. So this is a big relief for these Rohingya Muslims. Now, can I add some more things here? On your screen you can see this building, right? This building is known as, I'm going to add some more facts about ICJ. So this building is known as Peace Palace. It's called Peace Palace, and it is, as I told you, right, this ICJ is a principal judicial organ of United Nations. So in total, United Nations has some 6 principal organs, and out of this 6, this is the only one that is not located in New York or USA. It is located outside USA. So can you give me the name of the place? I'm talking about the city as well as the nation in which you find this Peace Palace, or this main headquarter or the main body of ICJ. And then you have this panel of judges. You have total 15 judges, remember. 15 judges are there, and every judge is elected for 9 years. Remember the famous competition between UK and USA. Both the nations, I beg your pardon, I said USA, I think. UK and India, right? It was a very famous case. I think it was back in 2018, late 2018 or early 2019. I don't remember the exact year, but it is quite fresh as far as these elections are concerned. So India was trying to, elect its judge. This bench, UK was also trying, and basically how it works is you need votes from United Nations General Assembly, and you need votes from United Nations Security Council. Now, UK is a permanent member of Security Council, but then as well, India won. India was able to, or Indian judge got more votes, and he was finally elected for this bench or for this position at ICJ. So that was a famous thing. So the main purpose here is not about the victory of India. The main purpose here is that to elect, or for a judge to get elected, he or she needs support from UNGA, that is General Assembly, as well as Security Council. So as far as basic things are concerned, we are done. So now let's move on to this Rohingya case. So this unanimous ruling has pinned legal responsibility on Myanmar's government as well, and Myanmar's government has to provide periodic reports. It has to provide evidences that it has created a proper environment or took some action in Myanmar to relocate and to rehabilitate this Rohingya Muslims. As per ICJ, an estimated 6 lakh Rohingyas are still living in a very vulnerable condition in Myanmar, in this Rakhine state, and security forces have used a heavy hand. Brutalities by defense services amounted to crimes of genocide, and this has been clarified in 1948's Genocide Convention. So if your army, navy, air force, or your defense service is executing this sort of brutalities on citizens, then it falls under this genocide definition. Now, I'm sure you'd be aware about Aung San Suu Kyi. She's a very famous lady from Myanmar, and she is a hero, no doubt. She was behind the bars for like 20 years, and she was behind the bars because she was protesting for democracy. Like if we go back to brief history of Myanmar, then we find that it was a democratic country. Earlier on, it was ruled by Britain, and there used to be kings and all these things. Then it became a democratic country. Then for a very long period of time, this military, took over, and people were protesting. And this Aung San Suu Kyi and father and other people, they are quite famous for being pro-democratic. And she was behind the bar when she was released. She got a Nobel Prize as well for peace. But at present, what we find is that it means her government is ruling Myanmar. After she came out, there was an election. Technically, she was not able to get qualified for president, because you have this rule that you cannot marry to someone who is not if your spouse is not Myanmar or Burma citizen, then you cannot become president. This is how it works in Myanmar. But anyway, at present, her government is she is the one who is the main person of government and famous face as well of government, and she is defending army. She has said in this clarification that this 2017 violence was proportionate to the threat of insurgency. She has said this Rohingya Salvation Army, Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army, is an insurgency group, a terrorist organization, and to control this terrorist organization, there was no choice with the army but to conduct a sort of anti-insurgency operation. And this is coming from the government of Myanmar, and this is very sad. This is coming from a person who's got Nobel Prize for peace. She even questioned the Gambia's standing to bring the suit, saying that there was no bilateral dispute between Gambia. Gambia is a country of Africa, Muslim country, and this country took a stand for Rohingya people against this Myanmar, and Gambia is supported by Organization of Islamic Cooperation. So she is not happy with this Gambia as well. Now, one more interesting thing, Myanmar's foreign minister has rejected ICJ's ruling, and this is the reason why I said that all those topics that are referred to ICJ, the ruling is basically advisory. It is not something that is binding. Now it can basically, this ruling can it empowers United Nations Security Council. United Nations Security Council can force Myanmar to take proper actions, but in UNSC you have China as a permanent member, so it will protect Myanmar. China will protect Myanmar. A few days ago we were talking about China Pakistan economic corridor. We talked about China Myanmar economic corridor as well. The recent discussion was CMEC. And I told you at that point of time as well that China has clearly stated that it is going to stand next to Myanmar. It is going to support Myanmar in this Rohingya case. So things are that as it looks, at present it looks like Rohingya people, their suffering will not end that easily in this country, Myanmar. And of course, remember, we have talked about, but if you are a new student, then let me tell you, this is the Rakhine state. This is the place where most of the Rohingyas have lived and they are living. And they were forced and beaten and raped and murdered. So they left this place and they headed towards, they crossed this river Naf. And most of them are living here in Cox's Bazar area, and some of them have fled to other countries as well. In Malaysia, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, and there are other countries, Philippines. So Rohingyas, they have migrated, and there are like 40,000 living in our country as well. Right, so this next article is about USA, India and USA's relationship. And this article is, overall shade is negative when it comes to Mr. Trump and Mr. Modi. This article is also talking about the common things between Mr. Modi and Mr. Trump. Right, the things that are common between both these leaders, what they are doing in their countries, respective countries, of course. And there are other things that we are going to talk about. I'm going to share some facts as well, some details that you don't find here in this article about India and USA's relation, right? So let's start our discussion. Now, Mr. Trump is scheduled to make his first visit to India next month. Hopefully at the end of February 2020, he will be here in our country. And Mr. Trump and Mr. Modi are shaking up the bilateral ties between the two countries, and the resultant flux could outlive the 10 years. The way both these nations, or I would say both these leaders, are getting on with each other, they share a very good rapport with each other. Whenever they meet, they're laughing and hugging, and they're having tea and other things. So overall, I can say that relationship between Mr. Modi and Mr. Obama, they used to share a very good relationship. And same thing is not that warm, right? Mr. Trump is a bit different, of course, but still relationship is quite good between both these leaders and both these nations as well. We have very good things between us. Like, first of all, I would say when it comes to democracy, as we know, USA is one of the oldest democracy in the world, and India is one of the biggest democracy in the world. So you have this common thing between both these countries. Then relationship, and most important thing is people to people contact, right? We have our NRIs living in USA. Our people, they are respected, they are educated, they are wealthy as well, right? And they have political weight as well in USA. And it was quite visible from this Howdy Modi program that was conducted a few months ago in Houston. So these are a few things. Now, in the past, there was a time when we were under USA's sanction. I'm not sure if you are aware about this thing, but after this Pokhran test of nuclear test by India, USA applied sanctions on us, and after that we had a long conversation, periodic conversations and meetings took place between both the nations, and finally in 2008, USA and India signed this nuclear treaty or nuclear agreement, and this is one of the most important milestone between these two countries, or when it comes to relationship between these two countries. And at that point of time as well, there were various different factors, but NRIs played a very, very important role. Right, as I told you, our NRIs or our people living in USA, they are well educated. They are, generally speaking, they are wealthy as well. They are politically aware. They are politically active, and they lobbied for India. They persuaded then USA's government to make sure to go ahead with this nuclear deal with India and remove sanctions and things. So people-to-people contact between USA and India is quite good. And when you have this sort of people-to-people contact, when you have this sort of trade taking place between each other, when you find, Indians are quite respected over there, and we have a sort of, you can say, as a place in our heart when it comes to USA. We have USA at a very special, you can say, room in our heart. So things are good between both these nations. Now, in this article, this was basic things about these two countries, right? Some things that you need to understand. Now, let's talk about both leaders. Both leaders continuously reiterate that their predecessors were incapable of protecting national interest. Mr. Modi talks about Congress, and Mr. Trump talks about the Democrats, or Mr. Obama and other leaders. Now, both have a cultural and an economic agenda. Of course, both nations are promoting their national cultures, or the traditional cultures of individual countries like USA and our country. Means when it comes to Mr. Modi, he's talking about this, this ancient India and things, or valuable things that were there in ancient India and our tradition and culture and other things. When it comes to economic agenda, Mr. Trump's or USA's economy under Mr. Trump is doing very well. I would say it's doing okay. But things are not that good at present. In the past or recent past, things were okay. But at present, India is going through a slowdown phase. And that is creating a bit of trouble for government. So many people are criticizing economic policy of our government. Both of them are leading a national reawakening, a nationalism. A wave of nationalism is quite visible in India as well as in America. And they are also, they have a strong opinion about national borders. When it comes to India, we did surgical strikes under Mr. Modi. And in recent past, we also saw that military as well has got a free hand under Mr. Trump. USA's military and Indian military as well, and security establishment, they get a very good support, or they know that this Mr. Modi is a full supporter of Indian military and security. So we see lots of actions going on, and this is creating a sort of I would say charm as well as affiliation, or people do have a sort of a soft corner for those leaders who take decisive actions against terrorists and this sort of organizations. Both of them have promised about jobs. They are like quite loud when it comes to generating and creating jobs. The notion of shared values of India and USA has acquired a whole new meaning under Mr. Trump and Mr. Modi's regime. India under Mr. Modi continues to push for its permanent seat in United Nations Security Council. We are also seeking membership with this nuclear suppliers group. And Mr. Trump, when it comes to international platform, he is clearly a disruptor. Recently he attacked and assassinated Qasem Soleimani, and this has created lots of problems at international platform. He is going to take out USA from Paris climate change this year. Officially, it will be out. WTO, that judge's appointment was blocked by USA. And when it comes to China, when it comes to Pakistan, if USA is having a warm relation with Pakistan, then India will not feel that happy. If it is having a sort of animosity, or USA is getting a bit tough on Pakistan, then it will cheer up India. This is how it has always worked. China is a common thing. Of course, we cannot say that China is our enemy. China is our neighboring country. We have this, long traditional relations and other things. But at present, it's all about who is going to be the next power in Asia. Clearly, I would say China, because at present China is challenging this dominant position of USA, and to control China, USA needs allies, good friends in various different parts of the world. So it has South Korea, it has Japan on the other side. Then it is also supporting these ASEAN countries and trying to get ASEAN countries on USA's team or on board. And India is a country, that is a very important ally of USA when it comes to China. Mr. Modi also talked about this 911 and 2611. He said there is a common thread between both these incidents or this terrorist attack, and he was directly, indirectly talking about, of course, Pakistan. Mr. Trump has bracketed India and China. Many a times we find Mr. Trump getting harsh on India as well. Like he said that these two countries have duped USA for a very long period of time. He's not a supporter of Mr. Modi's climate change policy. He has kicked India out of this generalized system of preference. It's a GSP is basically USA's facility. It is something that USA can decide. It's not a world body, or it's not decided by the world. It's a facility that is provided by USA itself to countries, to developing as well as the least developed countries, so that the things that are manufactured in this least developed countries or developing countries can be imported in USA without any import duty or any tariffs. So early on, so many of our items were covered under this GSP, but India has been kicked out of this GSP by Mr. Trump. So he has been a bit harsh as well. As far as H-1B visas are concerned, it is a bit difficult to get this. And when it comes to trade imbalance, so it's in favor of our country, but USA wants to balance it, and USA has persuaded India to purchase more hydrocarbons or oil from USA. So these are the things that are going on between USA. It was a big picture, big things, and let's hope when he comes here next month, things will be a bit more fruitful and more positive. Then we will talk about Uttar Pradesh, the long and the short of Uttar Pradesh. It's talking about, it's using references of various different reports like UN Human Development Index report for 2017 that was published back in 2018. And as per this report, two states, one is Uttar Pradesh and the second one is Bihar. These are the worst among all the states of our country. Then you have this State Bank of India research report of March 2019, and it says that UP had not bettered its Human Development Index over the last 27 years. You have to be aware about this thing that Uttarakhand is a state that was carved out from Uttar Pradesh, and Uttarakhand is doing quite well. So in this article, what it is, the central theme is that we need to, break it down. Uttar Pradesh, we need to, it's a very big state, so we can create many states out of it. And if we break it down, then we can pay more attention to this law and order. The power will be decentralized and things can improve quite a lot. If we go through MOSPI, that is Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementations report, named Household Social Consumption, and Niti Aayog's School Education Quality Index, in this as well, in both this report, UP came last. The cliche about UP that it is a place where you find lawlessness, dacoity, communalism, caste killings, gender-based brutality, feudal agrarian exploitation, unemployment, underemployment is also true if we go through various different reports. A good part of its poor leads a subhuman life as migrant labor in urban India and different places. NCRB Crime in India report says that of the total criminal cases, 10%, when I say total, I'm talking about India's total, out of that 10% are committed in Uttar Pradesh. The Home Ministry says that there are 12.77 lakh people, roughly you can say nearly 13 lakh people in UP. They have gun licenses. And this is one of the most interesting part of this article, that whenever you try to achieve some good things, like let's say the British government, this independence from Britain's rule over India, the result was partition. We tried to get independence, but you find some sort of side effect. Ceylon or Sri Lanka's case, this Sinhala nationalism And after this independence, Sinhala nationalism was in rise, and this was not good for Tamils. USA-led invasion of Iraq to control things that were going on in Iraq, and this atrocities and atrocities of Saddam Hussein. To control all these things, USA invaded this 2003 in 2003 Iraq, and what we saw is since then Sunni and Shia fires have have fueled up. So clearly, democratization and modernization or attempts to inculcate this sort of things have created more issues. It should not be taken that we don't want to expand democracy, but whenever we try, we find initially things may go wrong, or there will be a sort of side effect. So anyway, the report, or you can say the stand of K.M. Panikar back in 1955, he said that UP is a very big state, or disproportionate in size. And let me tell you one more interesting fact that is not mentioned here, but if UP is made a country, then it will be fifth biggest country in terms of population. It's big in size as well, but from population point of view, it will be the fifth most populous country in the world. So yes, we can think about it. We can divide Uttar Pradesh into various different states. If we can do this thing, then it can change the situation of the people living in this part of our country. These are the news items, dear friends. Things are not that good as far as China is concerned. This coronavirus is spreading in various different parts. How to crack TNPSC, Tamil Nadu Public Service Commission. I'm not going to give you, this article is not providing you good advice. It's basically about a case. There were like 99 students. They are suspended for life for now, forever. They want to be able to take this exam because they did cheating. Aspirants with criminal past should not get a ticket, has been said by Election Commission in Supreme Court, and that's a good thing because 46% member of parliament have criminal records, and we have to understand this thing as well, that petty cases, many times what happens to take like rivalry, there are people who will file fake cases, so we need to protect our politicians from that thing as well. So there should be a balance. Indian scientists must try to work on interesting subject, has been said by Venkatraman Venki Ramakrishnan. And CJI, that is Chief Justice of India, wants a speedy resolution of cases. He said that we can deploy technology, artificial intelligence and other things, and apart from that he also said that nothing can replace human discretion. And that's everything, and this is a very sad picture. As you can see here, this person is throwing waste in this river, and this is very sad. So dear friends, next interaction for today is going to be daily financial news analysis, right? It will be out at 5 p.m. Today evening, and tomorrow is Sunday, so no Hindu analysis on Sunday. So as far as Hindu analysis is concerned, I will meet you on Monday morning. As far as my next lecture for the day is concerned, it is going to be daily financial news analysis at 5 p.m. So enjoy your weekend. God bless you all. Jai Hind.